very, very wet. Right, well here it is coming off the road. Coolant gone, oil next, and then I get the radiator out of the way and I can have a proper clean up, which would be lovely. I was investigating my rat's nest, and I've managed to get the fans switched on by the ECU, which was actually really easy. Where is it? This one, that wire there. So now that relay is from a switched earth from the ECU to control the fan temp, which means that can be turned into a blanking plug and look a lot nicer. Yeah, I do have plans for this. It's going to be a lot neater, and it's going to be broadly the same wiring because it works and it's done sort of properly. It's just a fucking mess. So we're going to get that all sorted, but first jobs are to clean, degrease, sump off, reseal, front main seal, and that's all I can really do unless I'm willing to take the head off and do the front timing cover, which I hope I don't have to. Or if it's the rear main seal, engine's got to come out. And I really want to get another, if I could get another 2 years out of this engine, I'd be really, really pleased. On the dyno, it was, when it was pulling a really hard vacuum, it was smoking a bit, but I'm not too concerned about that. If I can get 2 years out of it, that'll give me enough time to get the car ready for a, because if I do the engine, it will turn into 140 horsepower, and I want to make sure the rest of the car's good for it, and it just gets a fancy donkey. But I'll leave the coolant draining for a while, and yeah, well, I suppose I'll show you some cleaning later. Not that it's that interesting, but it's all part of the journey. And as if by magic, the radiator has vacated the engine bay. And what have we got here? Oh, hang on, let me get my... Ah, no wonder my torch wasn't shining. I hadn't turned the bloody thing on. Alright, here we go. So, here is the front of the engine. So we can see there is a build-up of dirt there. But is that because oil is coming out of in between the head and the block? Or because it's being blown up by the pulley spinning and just generally slinging it everywhere? The main build-up is around here, so you can see. Crank sensor still works. That didn't give up the ghost. That was running perfectly. If you look around here, it's a little bit cleaner there, a little bit, but really grotty down here. So, and down here it's even worse. So I'm not really too sure. I mean, where do the front covers leak from? I mean, that is wet and that is dry. So that's got to be coming from the head, but it doesn't look like a severe leak, does it? Sorry, I'm awful with this torch and the camera. That looks, I'd call that a weep. And I just can't see that producing this. So this has got to be, in my opinion, it's got to be coming out of the sump joint and flung up, or it's coming out of the main seal. But if it's the main seal, that looks a bit clean. If anyone has any clues, I'd love to hear them. But in the meantime, I mean, all I'm going to do, unless something catastrophic happens, all I'm going to do is take the pulley off and change the seal and change the sump gasket. Everything else is going to stay in place. I'm not taking the head off, David, and I'm not taking the timing cover off either. So yeah, I'm going to whip these off. I'm pretty sure that's got a keyway in it, so I'll just take it straight off, and then I can get that looking a lot cleaner. And interestingly, I've just come to take the alternator off and that's loose. Feels like is it what I've tapped it? Yeah, still on, but loose. And the bottom one was also loose, just held on by the nylock, but wasn't really supported, which may explain why this is broken twice this year. But wait, there's more. You see in there? Hang on. The old bloody bracket was loose. Well, that's a good thing to find before it caused major damage. The final piece of the alternator bracket puzzle is I only took one of those out. The other one is missing, so I will have to order another one up. But that, it looks fairly standard. UNC, I don't know what it, 3/8 or something like that. Anyway, I'll get one of those ordered. I'm gonna get the crank pulley off now. Can't really do much about the sensor until it will come off with the sump, so that's going to stay. We'll just get this off, and yeah, lots and lots of grottiness. And well, I'll bow down to people who watch this video who know more than me, but I'm hoping it's the sump or the main seal, because I can do those in situ. That's fine. Right, crank pulley's off, so I don't know, does that mean it's the main seal? Does it? No idea, but it's, ooh, I won't swear. I don't swear on YouTube anymore. It's blinking horrible. Ugh. Reminds me of my ex-girlfriend. No, I can't say that either. And by the by, I know this has turned a little bit oxidizey, but this is from QED. And I tell you what, it's a fantastic bit of kit. It really wasn't very expensive either. It was either £30 or £60. It's a really nice, well-made bit of kit. And you, as you can see, I filed one tooth away. You can file it away in the position you want. But yeah, most good bits of kit for the Elan are really expensive. This wasn't. Highly recommended. Well done, QED. Lovely. Right, so I suppose I best get my cleaning toothbrush out and give it a whiz. And this is the business end, so to speak, and you can just see how horribly grotty all of the gearboxes, chassis under here. It's just minging, and I'm hoping it is the sump up there that's causing it to drip down what they call the ship plate, and then down the gearbox. I'm going to take the gearbox. I filled that up at the beginning of the year, so let's see how much oil the gearbox has lost. But the car tends to drip around here, so I'm thinking it could hopefully be the rear half moon sump seals. But yeah, you can see where I've cleaned it up, but it is just proper grime. Ugh, it's horrible. Horrible. You can see over there where I've cleaned up, and that's how far I got. You can just see, I haven't driven this car in a few weeks, and it's just horrible. So yeah, I don't know how successful just doing the sump and the front main seal is going to be when it comes to making the engine oil tight. And the gearbox could possibly be as well, but if I could just stop it dripping quite so much, I'd be very happy. And as if by magic, 2 weeks have passed and I'm back in the game. So what have we got? I've spent a bit of time cleaning up the alternator bracket and various bits and bobs that are attached to it. So today I can manoeuvre myself, other jobs. So main job is to remove the support bar, and I don't know what I'm going to do, because basically there's really only room for one bolt, and I'm not sure that will give it the lateral, torsional, whatever, I don't know, rigidity. It just feels like it needs to be longer, so I may just put a longer bar on, I don't know. So that's got to come off. I don't know if I need to disconnect and bleed the slave cylinder. Ship plate's got to come off. Then the old Sumpy boy has got to come down. But yeah, and then once that's off, I'll do loads more cleaning, and we'll take it from there. Right, well, it's off, and it came off in a different way, and this is a combination of things. First of all, partly my lack of patience, and also, although you can see on this side, behind the welds, on that side, they were so deep that to get the angle on the grinder, I'm hacking into the chassis, and I kind of thought, well, at the end of the day, if I can leave this on here a certain amount, actually I maybe should have left a bit more, I can fabricate something that's going to sort of bolt in there and there, and actually be better than the original fix. So yeah, I've deferred solving. I mean, look, you see how fucking filthy that is. Ugh. I've deferred solving this problem until later. So let's roll on with getting the clutch slave cylinder piping and whatnot out of the way, and the ship plate, then the starter, and the sump. Oh look, you can see the pickup gauze there. Right, where are we up to? Finally time to get the sump off. That clutch fucking fought me all the way. Oh. Whenever I take the box off, I'm changing to a concentric slave cylinder. That's just an absolute pain in the arse. Anyway, it's off. Everything's out of the way. The starter motor is over there. Sorry, I'm on a load of zoom here. Let's that's better. Sorry, I had it on mega zoom. So yeah, eventually got the slave cylinder hardline off. Now that's completely drained, so that'll be a pig, absolute pig to bleed up. Starter motor is hiding over there. That wasn't too bad actually. On an engine that isn't covered in oil, it would be a lovely little job, but you can just see how much there is. It's just no joke. So you know, and even I wiped these down and you can still see there's a crown of oil on them. It's just so much. So that looks fairly dry though. So I don't know enough about how these would leak. Do they leak through the bolts? Because obviously it's not leaking on the seam. The flywheel is dry, so it's not coming out the rear main seal, and it's not coming out of the kind of crescent seals that go over the main seal. But it is dripping like a proper one, so it's got to be coming through the bolts. But oh, I don't know. All I can do is take the sump off and do a really good job on it, so that's what I'm going to do. Right, I'm going to stop bleating on and get this sump off. Right, here we are. It's off. So I don't know if there's a lot to be said, but there is. Which one's the back? Which one's the front? I think this is the back. Is it? It's just a big. No, this is the front. So, I mean, there's oil sitting in both of the seals. I don't really know what that means. Does that mean they were leaking? Possibly. It was fairly dry. It's very wet back here. And bear in mind, I drained the oil out of this over a week ago. You know, the car hasn't run for maybe a month. You know, so I don't know if this is telltale signs or something. I'm hoping someone will look at this and go, haha, there's your problem, boyo. You got a problem here and you got a problem there. Right, let's have a look underneath, because I think most of the gasket is oh no. Right, so here we are under the car. Now this is the gasket intact, and presume that means oil was leaking through here. So it's very wet. Potentially around the back, the rear seal looks very, very wet. It's wet around there too. This bit of gasket, I couldn't find it earlier, it's hanging down, just chilling out. It goes along there. It's very, very hard, but I don't know really what any of this means. So if anyone can make any sense of this and guide me, that'd be great. But otherwise, I'm just going to rip it off, clean it up as best as I absolutely can, and then go through a pretty long process of refitting the gasket. So yeah, I'll get this out before I do any work. So if anyone does have any tips, please let me know. Also, I don't know if this is going to be a good example of it or not, but when I was taking the bolts out, there's a lot of oil on the thread, that squeeze between the bolt and the sump. So I don't know if that means that it's leaking in between as well. I mean, these won't be going back in. I'm going to put some hex head ones in because they'll be easier. Cap head, that's the word I was looking for. But yeah, I can't remember if I filmed this, but the oil looks all right. It looks all right. I don't know if maybe one thing I've read is that the holes pull up. It's where they get torqued up. There's a definite ridge there. I think I may have to knock those down. Now let's see if I can find a... Yeah, look at that. I even knew where it was. Professional grade straight edge. Well, yeah, there's quite a bit of daylight in between there, isn't there? I mean, that's a lot of work that cork gasket's got to do. An awful lot of work. I think that could be a pretty big problem. So I'm going to have to investigate how to do that, other than just hitting it with a hammer and a punch and a bit of wood. Don't know. Any tips? Again, very much appreciated, guys.